There the mountains trembled and the seas rumbled in the southeastern fringes of Ghana. If you give a duck a chance, it will prefer to fly like a kite. While if you uncover secrets of life, for that I hear the wretched stories of wars every day from sun up to sundown. Turn me into a gorilla. This poem is called The Cutting Monsters. They have cut down the big trees. All the perching birds have flown wearily, tearfully away, and our forests are void of song. They have cut down the ageless trees, animal shelters from scorching sun and drumming rain. They animals defeated and crazily cry, while our forests have lost their antique majesty. The destroyers succeeded in sailing through because some of our foolish brothers led them to. They now pipe the songs of the alien pipes and have forgotten the regimes from our jungles. Pygmies and monkeys chorus their woes. It is drowned by fearsome falling trees in sorrow. Chimpanzees and gorillas stampede in anger, lost in the engines of mechanized cutters. The earth trembles from the forests of Jah onto the thick green folds encysting River Manu. Then common songs from father and son confluence into lightnings against the men at power. Now they lie in their raiments of blood. They are not heroes, for they never learned to fight. No man can stand against his people's sorrow, lest he be struck by the wind blades of justice. Wind blades strike from Congo Basin to Gulf of Guinea. This poem is a contemporary poem that talks about the devastation of the forest in Africa, in Central Africa, in the Congo Basin, in Brazil, the rainforest, the Amazon, and so on is very relevant. And it says that when these big trees fall, the birds that perch on them fly away. This is very linked to oral tradition, and that when a baobab falls, the birds that stay on it, who have made nests on it, also fly away. And in a way, when big men in Africa die, they do not only go with themselves, they go with the knowledge that they have kept. And so the trees have been given some kind of might, some kind of humane aspect, some kind of power as old men, as powerful men in Africa. And then they have seemingly been destroyed without their consent, without the consent of probably the majority of the people who own them. And those contraptions that are linked to these trees also disappear. Probably maybe some plants that need the shades of big trees, that do not need the aggressive sun, will also die because big trees have fallen. And birds that have made homes on the branches of these trees will definitely have no other place to be and might have to migrate. And when birds migrate, They probably go to places that they have less food. Some get mutated and some get extinct. So this poem is trying to talk about things like conservation and why even there is the need for conservation. It is saying timber companies and logging companies are very responsible for the destruction of the forest. And they cut down the ageless trees without replanting them. And some of these trees are animal shelters, as I've said. And they did succeed to do that because they paid some monies, sometimes to some Africans, some Brazilians. And they now have the licenses to exploit this forest. But then, they don't do it in a judicious manner. They do it anyhow. They do it without any scheme towards reforestation, and they keep on cutting down even plants that normally they were supposed to just preserve for posterity or just to peel off their backs. They cut down these trees. So the poem is very graphic in that it says that pygmies, monkeys, chimpanzees, and all the inhabitants of the jungle are wailing together to say the excesses of this cutting is absolutely unacceptable. And then we see that there's a clarion call that cuts across the Congo Basin to the Gulf of Guinea, which means now that the poem has given geography to where we think that the activity is really very rampant. And I think that in a way this poem is trying to suggest that while timber gives revenue to countries, it should be done in a modest and objective manner for the sustainability of the livelihoods that depend on the forest, both for gathering and for hunting, as well as for posterity. Today the mountains tremble and the seas rumble in the southeastern fringes of Ghana. If you give a duck a chance, it will prefer to fly like a kite, while if you uncover secrets of life, for that I hear the wretched stories of wars every day from sun up to sundown, turn me into a gorilla.